Things that make you go,
So I think we have everybody on right now. So whenever President Sheets is ready, if you want to go ahead and call the meeting.
Great, good evening, everybody. Today's the regular Board of Directors meeting. Today is Thursday, May 14th, 6 p.m. This meeting is being held remotely via Zoom. I'd like to
Jennifer, we can barely hear you. There's somebody that doesn't have their mic muted. Sounds like there's somebody's walking.
God.
How about now?
Oh, perfect.
All right. So I'd like to call this meeting to order. Ms. Pena, can you please call the roll?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and call attendance, and then it'll give everyone a chance to test out their microphones. I'll start with Director Gould.
Here.
And Orzali.
Here.
Wood.
Here.
Kelly.
Present.
Sailors.
Here.
Can you hear me?
Yes, there you are.
Okay. Yeah, Clark here.
All right. And Jones.
Present.
White.
Here.
And Sheets, we know you are here. And John Lavra. John, we can hear you. Can you hear us? All right, we'll skip over him for now. Chief Harms.
Melissa, should I be hearing something?
All right, Chief Harms is here.
I can't hear anything. Can you hear me? Can you nod your head if you're hearing me, Melissa?
I hear you.
I can't hear
but
you guys at all. Very good.
Melissa, do you want me to text John and just have him call in?
Yeah, I will send him the attendee email if that helps.
Why don't you see if one of his grandchildren can come by? Jennifer, was that the reminder to take the chocolate chip cookies you're making us out of the oven?
I'm at work, so no, and it wasn't mine. I was just making sure mine was on mute.
All right, just checking.
Grant, I'm eating the cookies.
Pretty much nothing that I want from the hospital, so.
Yeah.
We'll give John a or two.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I can hear you now.
Wonderful.
It's just dumb strikes again.
I'm your join party.
All right.
We're going to get it figured out.
All right. Now that roll is called, can I proceed?
Yes, please.
All right. So Metro cable announcement, the open session meeting is videotaped for Cablecast on Metro Cable 14, replay on Sunday, May 17th at 9 a.m. and Monday at May 18th at 6 p.m. on Channel 14. Webcast at www.sacmetrocable.tv. Now is a public opportunity to discuss matters of public interest within the district's jurisdiction, including items on or not on the agenda. Madam Clerk, are there any speakers?
All right. I did not receive any requests for speakers. However, Art, if you could unmute our participants, see if there's anyone out there, our viewing audience, who would like to comment.
Will do. One moment.
while he is doing that, we are going to move into closed session here towards the end. And when we do that, I'd like to remind everyone that you can mute your Zoom meeting and join via teleconference. And that way, when we come back from closed session, it's that much easier to get back on our Zoom meeting.
Nicely done.
Okay, so to the attendees, you now have the ability to unmute yourselves. If you would like to speak, now would be a good time to unmute and present. That would be a no response. All right. Okay, Melissa, no one is responding, so I will disable their interaction.
All right, thank you for doing that.
All right, moving on to the consent items. Are there any questions from our directors?
Madam Chair, I'll move the consent.
And I
Second.
will second it.
Third.
Fourth.
All right, we have a first and a second. Can you please call the roll?
Director Gould,
Aye.
Barzali,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
Sailors,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
White,
Aye.
and Sheets.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, regarding action item 1 and 2, action will be taken after closed session. So I'm going to move on to the reports. Moving on to the president's report, I have nothing to report. Moving on to the fire chief's report, Chief Harms.
Good evening, directors. I hope that you enjoyed that extra week that we had in there. A few things going on across the district. Chief Bridge will talk more about COVID and our responses. For me, some of the things that are happening is that we will be opening up a recruitment here soon. We anticipate that George Graven will retire at the end of the year. George has been our facility manager for a number of years. We've put together a plan with Chief Shannon to be able to do a recruitment early on, get everybody through kind of the difficult times of hiring and have them spend a little bit of time shadowing George, who's done just a great job for the district across the board. We've had one retirement on May 1st, GIS specialist Dennis Murray retired. Dennis had been with us for 17 years. As far as meetings go, it has been interesting. As I said before, I've learned more about the Zoom and using it than I knew before. I still remember Dr. Gould talking about it and that I had to get involved with it a number of months ago, and now it's a daily activity. But one of the things that we have done since 2016 when I arrived at Metro is twice a year we met with all the members. And that was an opportunity to go out. We did it in about 20 different meetings. The feedback over the years has been very good, and it has always been an opportunity for us as the exec staff to sit down with the membership. In that same vein of keeping it going, in May here would have normally been those. And so we have set it up where we're doing a Zoom conference much like this. We pushed out the app to all the company iPads. They've been able to schedule them. We're about half done. We did 2 shifts. So we do one in the morning, one in the afternoon. We have one more shift to do coming up next week, and then the 2 meetings with the professional staff. I had reached out, and I think a number of you have seen it. We reached out and had about 30 different questions that came from the troops. We're getting through probably 11 or 12 of them in about an hour or so. The feedback has been just really good from the troops as far as information and being able to share. Last week, we had a meeting with Rancho Cordova, myself and the directors and staff, the 2x2. We talked about the weed abatement process that has been in place for a number of years. A lot on response stats, a lot about stats on mobile integrated health that related to Rancho Cordova, and then just a lot of questions about COVID-19. Myself and the exec staff, we've met a number of times. We actually met today in preparation of next year's budget. Going through line by line along with Amanda, looking at where we at today, looking at a lot of the challenges that are coming up. We will have another board meet or another meeting here soon, and then in 2 weeks on May 28th, Amanda will present the prelim finances and prelim budget to you all at that time. Just the last thing that we just want to make sure that it remains current within the district as we move forward was the strategic plan that we worked on. We had talked about every couple months being able to give a little bit of an update of what is happening with the strategic plan, so it doesn't become something that we work on. We put it into the shelf and then 2 years later pull it back out. As I said, on the strategic elements for the members and the people of Metro, one of the focus was focus groups and communications, and we've hit that one with our Chiefs forums. Another one was the number 2 in that one, which is professional development and training. We have adapted what would normally be the PDP or professional development for wildland would have normally happened right now. The companies would have been able to come in. We would have had a number of series of classes right before wildland season. This year, we were able to put together 4 video segments. And so they were all advertised and in preparation. The videos has everything from response to current conditions to standard operating procedures. And those are going on right now also. The other one is about the health and wellness of our members. We were just notified by Kaiser that they will start picking back up our physicals that are scheduled, mostly for our hazmat and our drivers that are out there right now. We talked about a little bit of the Rancho Cordova. One of the other areas was with fire dispatch. It was about coordination with other disciplines. We're finishing up an MOU with fire dispatch. As you know, a few years ago, we had a power failure or a loss of power over at the dispatch center, which led to some challenges. We were able to build a redundancy program here and really a disaster recovery site here at Metro that will be the backup site for the dispatch center. And a number of that is all moving forward. And the last one is on capital assets or real property on the CIP plan is Station 68. Chief Shannon and Jeff Fry have continued to work on the final plans for Station 68. As always, we have run into, I think when I say as always, with big projects like this, taking a look at the budget and making sure that we're able to do the job within the budget that has been given to it. So we're moving forward with some updates to that one and hope to be able to move dirt sometime soon, being August or September, depending on how things open and work, and looking at the end of 2021 for completion of that project. That ends my report for today, unless any of you have any questions for me.
Are there any questions? All right.
Oh, could I have one go back just real quick?
Nope, you're back.
No, go back. I forgot that I'm going to bring Chief Shannon on just real quick. And I know that the last time we talked about some leave policies. We wanted to give an update as far as the folks as far as applying for additional leave or having hardship. So, Greg, do you want to jump in there? Sorry about that. I almost forgot you.
Yes, Chief, thank you very much. Good evening, Board. Greg Casantini, Deputy Fire Chief of Administration. So at our last board meeting, you all had requested just a quick brief on some of the federal leaves that our employees have been using, and I'd like to cover those briefly now. So as far as the emergency paid sick leave, there have been 4 employees that have used hours to really help them get through the next few weeks. And looking at the expanded FMLA time, there also have been four employees that have used quite a few hours, average of about 200 hours each on that. And these are employees that really cannot work from home, and there was really no work at the office here for them to use. So they've used a couple hundred hours each on that. Looking at the hardship leave is what was passed the last board meeting. 4 firefighters inquired about the COVID-19 hardship leave. The fire chief made an evaluation and some discussions with them. The district and the fire chief are following the catastrophic leave as a guideline. So right now the firefighters are reviewing their options and taking a look at their current accrual usage that they have. They all do have quite a bit of vacation and sick leave that they can use. So they're going to evaluate their options and possibly get back to the fire chief when some of those accruals are down. So once again, 4 on the emergency paid sick leave, 4 on the FMLA, and actually 4 firefighters on the hardship leave are still looking at their options. Unless you have any questions, that is it for me.
Thank you. Any questions for Chief Castantini? All right, moving on to the operations report. Chief Bridge.
Good evening, directors, President Sheets. Thank you. Eric Bridge here, Deputy Chief Operations. Provide you a brief update on the last few weeks. I guess our biggest change for the last few weeks is we have resumed to, I don't want to call it our normal training, but we resumed back for some of our perishable skills type training. At the beginning of all this, we hunkered down like the rest of the country and the world. But now, as we are becoming more familiar with what is happening out there, we are putting the safe practices in place as we extend our training out to our members, because there are certain skills that we have to maintain. And good news is the health of our organization and our members, they're all very healthy. Again, as we reported a while back, we had 2 members a while back who test positive, and they're back to work, and they've been back to work for some time now. So we have a healthy workforce. Training is resuming. We'll be out on the river doing some refresher training for the American River in anticipation of a busy summer, as there's a lot of people looking to get outdoors. Secondly, our wildland season, we just kicked that off. We are looking to put our aircraft into operations. Our target date is June 1st. The good news is we are prepared to activate a little earlier if need be, but our weather forecast is predicting some wet weather here in the next, I think early next week. So that's going to give us ample time to be prepared for the season. Although we're prepared right now for the wildland season, this just buys us some more time before we have to spool up our air operations division. They will be good to go beginning June 1st, like I said, and then also our dozer, our special operations dozer ops has started Monday, and they are working and already out and about in training. So they're doing a fantastic job. And that kind of ties into this time of year when we start thinking about and we haven't been, most of the country's not thinking about, or the state's not even thinking a lot about the strike team, large wildland fires that we've had over the last several years. But there are those behind the scenes that are working on it. So we've been in close contact with CAL FIRE and the U.S. Forest Service in terms of best practices, because the unique difference between this year and years past is how are they going to manage base camps and those things. So I'm here to assure you, the board members, that those discussions are happening. Best practices are being shared with across the country and across the world. And we're right at the forefront of that. Today, we released what we refer to as our safety go bags for our strike team station. So if they were to be deployed, they have plenty of PPE, hand sanitizer, all those different things to take care of themselves. Is where our emphasis is self-reliance and personal responsibility to take care of your own safe space and social distancing and those things that go along with that. So, because the fires, they don't care too much about the COVID-19. So we are prepared. That's the good news. We will respond, and everybody is excited and ready for the wildland season. Let's see. I also wanted to update you on mobile integrated health. As all of you are aware, Captain Perryman is at the forefront of our mobile integrated health program. We have 2 units in service, and they have been very busy, extremely busy. They saw 93 patients yesterday. over this, since the inception of our community care response units beginning on April the 1st, we've had over 1,000 patient contacts. Of those, 10% of the positive patients in Sacramento County have been a result of our community care response units. They're the ones who are identifying them. The other good thing I want to report back to you is that personal protective equipment, many of which we refer to as PPE, works. Captain Perryman, our physician assistant and captain paramedic, is one that gets tested regularly. He's dealt with over 100 positive patients, COVID-19 patients. He gets tested regularly. He has never been tested positive. So with that said, the PPE works, and that unit continues to do a good job. We look to keep that unit responding, both units responding to the end of this month. We may curtail some of the activity of one of the two units, but I would anticipate we are going to be rolling through the end of June. The original mobile integrated health unit, which we've been working on over the last several years, which its main mission was focused towards high utilizers and low acuity type calls. That is going to happen again. Its main mission may be altered a little bit with some additional, I apologize for the background noise. I'm sorry about that. That's part of doing Zoom calls. So at the end, and so I'm letting them resettle down there. At the end, our mission is still remaining focused towards high utilizers and low acuity calls. But again, they could still be utilized in some of the congregate living facilities, and that's where the main focus has been requested from the Department of Public Health. We will continue to focus there. And then lastly, our call stats that have been going on for the last few weeks have been, the call volume, as I mentioned in the past reports, has dipped below, has dipped to around 200 calls a day, which we're normally running about 275 calls a day. That those numbers are actually starting to move and move towards normal call volume. So over the last week, we've seen an increase of about 7% in our call volume. Although our transportation rate is still low because people are, I think, concerned and have some apprehension about going to the hospital. I think things are starting to sway a little bit and change. And I think we're starting to see an uptick in transportation as well. With that, our two busiest units since the last meeting, again, you probably could guess, Engine 53, averaging about 18 calls a day. And then Medic 24 is averaging also about 18 calls a day for the last 2 weeks. So that concludes my report, unless you have any questions.
Chief Bridge, this is Gay, and I have,
Yes.
oh, I'm sorry, President Sheets.
Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. Sorry. It's like I was talking directly to Chief Bridge right there, and I forgot protocol. My apologies. Hey, Chief, it seems like we have, with our mobile integrated health unit, although it was a terrible circumstance, we have it up and rolling. And I'm very positive, or I'm very encouraged and hopeful that we can keep the momentum going so we can continue with the mobile integrated health unit so that it transitions into some, well, basically the original idea of it for our high volume users and be able to get some relief from excess calls that could be better used or better approached or handled without a 911 system. So I don't really expect an answer now, but I really hope that we have some, and I'm sure you're already doing it, transition planning, so that if it's at the end of June when perhaps we get a stand down order from the county health, or however those things work, partially or incrementally, I'd very much like to see us be able to carry on with this momentum and get those units, continue them in the field for their original purpose. And many of our, many of our staff and many of our directors are aware that we've been talking about this for 4 or 5 years. So please, let's don't lose momentum. Thank you.
Nope, you're welcome. I can assure you the momentum is strong right now. We've been, Chief Arms and I, myself and Captain Perryman, Chief Law from the EMS division, we're staying on top of that focus. Although there was a momentary pause for COVID-19, We were able to reach out to all the stakeholders, and they have reassured us. And through some most even recent calls as of yesterday, I can assure you that the confidence and the excitement is high. And we, to find a silver lining in all this, this kind of lit the proverbial fire. So I could say and assure you that right now things are moving forward in a very good, at a good pace currently. So thank you for that, and we'll keep you posted.
Great. Any other questions, comments? All right, moving on to the firefighters local 522 report. Captain McGoldrick, are you on the Zoom?
I am. Good evening, President Sheets and Board of Directors. I've got 3 brief items. The first one is on behalf of the Firefighters Burn Institute. Firefighters Burn Institute. That was the old name. On the big day of giving, they were able to raise $53,000. A percentage of that was the transfer of the donations for a couple of fundraisers that had to be canceled. That's a pretty good day of fundraising for them, and they're in dire need of assistance because they've had to cancel multiple events. Secondly, I'd like to welcome Walt White to the board representative position for Division 9. Congratulate Walt. And finally, I'd like to congratulate Jimmy Crawford. He's a captain here to the election of the
bummer.
And that's all I have.
Captain McGoldrick, can you repeat that last one? You were really broken up.
I apologize. The last one was for Captain Jeremy Crawford. You congratulate him. He was recently elected to the 522 Executive Board as the Member Services Director.
Oh, great.
That's all I have.
Awesome. Any questions or comments for Captain McGoldrick? All right, moving on to the committee and delegate reports. The executive committee, I have nothing to report, and our next meeting has not been determined. Communications Center, JPA, Chief Shannon.
Good, President Sheets and Board, Brian Shannon, Deputy Support Service. Couple of items on the Comm Center, JPA. They are in week 2 of 10 of their dispatch academy. All 8 that started are continuously are present still and anticipated to be present for the 10 weeks. And as Chief Arms earlier, they are now completely out of 3121 Gold Canal with their DR site up and functioning here at admin. Court next meeting will be May 26th.
Great. Moving on to the California Fire Rescue Training, JPA, Chief Shannon.
Thank you again. As with the Comm Center, the training JPA has fully moved out, and they're occupying 3121 Gold Canal now. Just a report from them, obviously with the COVID and budgets and everything, they've had will have some challenges due to the COVID issues. But they are moving forward. They're starting to populate their training calendar for next year with the hopes of everything will be back to normal. They'll get back to their training as before. So that will be a work in progress. And our next meeting, we haven't met for some time, but our next meeting is June 18th at the MTC.
Thank you, Chief. Are there any questions or comments for the Chief? All right, moving on to the Finance and Audit Committee, Director Rosali.
The Finance and Audit Committee has not met. Their next meeting is scheduled for the 28th of May.
Thank you. Director Gould for the Policy Committee.
No report.
All right, so we are going to move into closed session. Just want to remind you to mute and stop your video.
Looks like John was writing some checks.
Green screen's working now.
There you go. Walt, how's your family?
Everyone is well. Thanks for asking. You know, just kind of getting very acquainted with ourselves with this stay-at-home orders. You know.
Sure. They have a COVID check there in the gated community.
You know, I don't know the numbers really in Sacramento County because I've been following mostly in Amador County, and I don't have any confirmed cases in the gate, but we've had very few, 9 total in all of Amador County, and 8 have completely recovered.
9 people. That's amazing.
Single digits.
Right.
Of course, our crews have been exposed to almost all of them, but you know.
Sure.
PPE does work.
Yep. Cool.
All right, Melissa, will you let us know when we can resume?
Yeah, I'll go do a quick call. So we have Director Gould.
Present.
Rosali.
He's muted.
I see he's Director Rosali, are you back with us?
I am.
All right, wonderful. Director Wood.
Yes.
Kelly.
Here.
All right, and Sailors.
Here.
Clark.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
All right, we know Director White is here and Director Sheets is here. I will turn it back over to you, President Sheets.
All right, General Counsel, will you please report out?
Yes, thank you, President Cheat. The board met in closed session with respect to the workers' compensation claim of employee Troy Thompson. The board voted unanimously to provide authority to its third-party administrator to effectuate a settlement of that pending workers' compensation claim. The board also met in closed session with respect to the industrial disability retirement related to Daniel Baker. No reportable action was taken. The board also met in closed session on the industrial disability retirement claim related to Anthony Fink. No reportable action was taken. Thank you.
All right, at this time, I will entertain a motion and a second for action item number 1.
Mr. Chairman, I would move approval of staff's recommendation on item 1. Approval.
Mr. Chairman, Walt White, I would second that.
Great, we have a first and a second. Can you please call the
Director Gould.
Aye.
Orzali.
Aye.
Wood.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
Sailors.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
White.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, regarding action item number 2, I'll entertain a motion and a second.
So move.
Madam Chair, Madam President.
Madam Chair, I will second.
Great, we have a first and a second. Can you please call the roll? Director Jones, do you have a question?
Yes, just to clarify, the vote is to accept staff's recommendation.
Yep.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
We have a first and a second. Can you please call the roll?
Director Gould.
Aye.
Orzali.
Aye.
Wood.
Aye.
Kelly. Director Kelly, can you give me your vote one more time?
You lost him.
I'll come back to him at the end. Director Sailors?
Aye.
Clark?
Aye.
Jones?
Aye.
White?
Aye.
Director Kelly, can you give us your vote one more time, please? Thank you. And Director.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Perfect. We're going to end with board members' questions and comments. We'll start off with Director Gould.
Madam Chair, I just want to say thank you for all of you and your willingness to deal with this technology challenge. And thank you for the staff for moving us out of WebEx to Zoom. As the chief said, this will be a much better process, I think, once we get it figured out. But I just want to also let everybody know to stay safe and sane. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Director Rosali.
Thank you. I just wanted to welcome Walt onto the board and express my appreciation to Chris Green for his efforts with the EOT in helping coordinate the donation of meals to the EOT. And then I want to commend Crisp Catering. These folks have done a marvelous job of gathering donations, providing meals delivered at cost for our folks in stations and to the EOT team. And so I really appreciate everybody's help. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Wood.
No comment. Thank you.
Director Clark.
I'd say keep following the protocols and listen to the scientists, not the politicians.
And Director Jones.
Thank you, Director Clark. All right, thanks, Madam President. Quick shout out, welcome aboard, Walt. Nice to kind of see you. Again, very productive Rancho 2x2, Rancho Cordova 2x2 that the chief mentioned. I'd like to give two shout outs as thank yous. One is to Jill Guzman for sending out the information for the fire chiefs forums. I was able to participate, well, to listen in on one at least, and as time allows, I appreciate that opportunity and info sharing. And then I'd like to also thank Lisa Barsdale and Chief Casatini. We're working on response to a citizen complaint in my division, and I appreciate their expertise and professionalism in moving forward with that concern. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Director White.
Madam President, I promise in the future will not be as long-winded as tonight, but I did want to thank Captain McGoldrick for the welcome, as well as Directors Rosali and Jones. I do appreciate it. I did want to also recognize Scott Perryman for his tireless work to get the mobile integrated health unit up and running. He's been diligently working in that direction for years, and I really do appreciate his advocacy, his stick-to-itiveness, and to see those units in service is actually quite an accomplishment. So I would like to recognize him, as well as Christy Jorgensen with the California Fire and Rescue Training Authority. She was very instrumental in helping 6 neighboring agencies, including the Amador Fire Protection District, in the preparation of a multi-agency, multi-county SAFER grant, a multi-million-dollar grant to develop and run a 4-year volunteer firefighter academy, a 10-week-long academy. And her input into the process was very necessary for us to submit that grant on time. And last, I'd kind of like to just wrap up by talking about an incident that occurred in District 9 not that long ago. On Sunday, February 23rd, we had a weekend warrior, a 50-something-year-old male who decided to bundle up and go for a rigorous or an arduous run. Well, it was arduous for him given his current fitness level. And at about 3 or 4 miles and 30 minutes into this run, he experienced a syncopal episode and fell from a running position, striking his face on the asphalt right at the feet of his wife and teenage child who were walking the dog at the time. So 911 was called, neighbors came. There was a lot of pretty chaotic. 59 was out, so the crew from 58 was responding from 7 miles further away while this individual lay on the ground deteriorating. But when those crews arrived, and that was Captain Jim Novotny, engineer Clint Alexander, and firefighter paramedic Isla Shakur, they quickly, and I know that Captain Novotny was on a call back that day, probably hoping to have a relaxing shift in that rural community, but he was thrown a curveball because when he arrived, he immediately recognized the man's wife and quickly realized that the patient was somebody who knew. So that added a little anxiety to the call. I don't remember many of the other details of that day, but what I do remember is regaining consciousness in the back of the ambulance with Captain Novotny cutting my favorite sweatshirt off and cramming ice down my pants, while firefighter paramedic Shakur was starting a line and engineer Clinton Alexander was comforting my wife and reassuring her during the transport. When I arrived at the hospital, after a CAT scan and lab work, I remember the doctor coming in and informing me that despite being iced down during transport, that my temperature was 105 on arrival. But thanks to the quick action of the responding crews, that even though I suffered heat stroke, I was going to be just fine. I also received a visit before I could clear the ER from Battalion Chiefs Wagner and Graf, and I just want to thank Captain Novotny and his crew, as well as all the men and women of the Metro Fire who do their work day in and day out without always realizing the impact that they have. So thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Director Sailors.
I just want to say thanks, Walt, for sharing that, and I'm glad you're here with us tonight. Other than that, thank you everyone for joining us in this meeting, and that's all I have tonight. Thanks.
Thank you. Director Kelly.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to welcome Director White to the board. I know you've got a wealth of information and you're going to add quite a bit to this organization with your history and knowledge. And I'm sorry that you had a health emergency this weekend. Hopefully you're doing okay. I wanted to thank all the people that donated to my cause with ALS. The big day of giving was last Thursday. I know that the Burn Institute did well, but some of you guys have donated to my organization or to the organization on my behalf, and I appreciate that also. I think that Metro Fire is doing a fabulous job through this with the mobile integrated health unit and the work of all of our members on a day-by-day basis. I certainly appreciate the effort and the opportunity to participate in this meeting from a remote location. Everybody enjoy the rest of their evening and their weekends. I will see you soon. I got the barbecue is hot and I got steaks to put on.
I'll make it quick then. I just wanted to welcome you, Director White, to the board. I look forward to the partnership, and I'd like to just echo Director Clark's sentiments of be safe out there and use common sense and be vigilant. And I hope everybody stays safe. And with that, I will adjourn the meeting. Our next meeting is May 28th, 6 p.m. Have a good night, everybody.
Night. See you later.